Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be breaking down Alina Zagitova's and Laysan Utyasheva's interview. This is a cooking show which is also an informal kind of interview that's life beyond the sport and really getting to know the person that Alina Zagitova is. I've done a whole series. I've done Kamila Valieva, Alexandra Trusova, Anna Shcherbakova, Alena Kostornaia, I've done Evgenia Medvedeva, and now I'm doing Alina Zagitova. So if you haven't already, please go and watch all of those videos. It's pretty much the same format of the videos. If you enjoyed this one, make sure you check out the rest. So the interview begins off with talking about sport depression and how Alina Zagitova, after retiring from being the Olympic champion, if she ever had that moment where she felt depressed after the sport and having that feeling of emptiness. And Alina Zagitova says she never really had that feeling that she was really depressed because so much was going on. She was doing figure skating shows, she was doing other competitions other than that, and she had so much going on that she really didn't have time to think about it until she was late at night and she was sleeping. And she had always dreams about landing jumps or falling from jumps, and she would actually wake up in the middle of the night with nightmares that she fell off and broke something or injured.
Пожалуйста, вот постспортивная депрессия. Была она у тебя или нет?
Ну, наверное...
И как выражалась?
Ну да, конечно, как у любого спортсмена, наверное, есть такая депрессия в какой-то степени, но за счет того, что у меня было потом много работы, и я не успевала об этом думать, только если вечером ложилась, такая у меня все мысли о том, как бы сделать прыжок, и были такие сны, что я просыпалась, и у меня что-то не получалось, или я падала, и я просыпалась вообще просто в какой-то истерике, но это было крайне редко, поэтому за счет того, что у меня достаточно много всего было, я как-то с этим справлялась, да? И много шоу.
Her first major role was in Nafka's show, and she was portraying Sleeping Beauty. And for her, she found it quite difficult at first. First of all, it was just performing as well, because you have to be in this acting mentality. You are an actor now, not just a performer. So she really had to fit into the role and tell a story through her actions and through her skating, which she already had been, but it was more of a bigger stage. And it was her first role at 14 years old. It was also really difficult because there wasn't really any scores, so there was never instant feedback or you're trying to impress somebody. But she did feel that judgment from the audience, and first and foremost, she's her biggest critic. So for her, she needs to also be pleased with her performance.
Помыто, конечно.
Да. Ну, я начала выступать в шоу у Татьяны Александровны Навки. Она мне предложила сначала роль спящей красавицы. Вот. Мы, значит, тут режем вот не крупно и не тонко. Вот.
Молодец, справляется, смотрите.
Да. Это супер тяжело и разговаривать, и делать. Но все, наверное, так говорят, да?
Да.
Но я могу сказать, что эта роль послужила неким толчком для меня в плане шоу. И это сказка, и это актерское мастерство, это все вместе. Поэтому первая такая роль у меня была как раз-таки «Спящая красавица».
То есть ты ее прям запомнила?
Ну, да, можно сказать так. А потом у меня был «Руслан и Людмила», сказка, то есть тоже очень интересно.
Работа,
я
да?
была, да, в главной роли там и тоже каталась в паре, между прочим. Все бывает когда-то в первый раз.
First, when she was younger, she didn't really like figure skating. Like, she says that usually skaters don't really like skating when they're very young. She actually had a really big problem where she would eat the ice and would try and not like it and always tell her mum that, oh, I don't want to go into trainings, and would cry. But the mum really saw that she had some talent, and same as the coaches, so she kept going up until the age of 9. And she started winning medals that she felt really motivated to keep going, and she really had a passion for the sport. And at first, at the age of 9, she really worked really hard. She would take extra private lessons and doing other things and still not see as much results as other girls would be, just going off the ice and not doing these extra lessons, and would be winning. And she felt really demotivated at that time that she wasn't winning anything really, and all the girls were. But the mum was like, you have to be patient. And that was what really helped her, because she was a working, hardworking girl. But during the age of 9, you were only receiving medals and no other extra cash or salary in that sort of, you didn't have a base of money that you would be earning. And so the mum tried to motivate her by buying her cats if she won, or buying her a dog or a hamster, a rabbit. So she had always lots of animals, and that was kind of a motive.
Какие моменты ты помнишь, когда ты влюбилась первый раз в каток, когда ты поняла, что это твое, и ты будешь бороться за этот вид спорта, вопреки пойдешь? Вот в какой момент это было?
Ну, наверное, это было, когда я начала, во-первых, зарабатывать первые медали.
Так, это сколько маленькая Алина была?
Где-то лет 9.
9. А до этого просто тебя водили, и тебе просто нравилось, да?
Мне сначала, естественно, как любому ребенку, наверное, не нравилось. Там холодно было, я просто копалась в этом льду. Иногда, знаете, перчатки такие были, не знаю, как это, огромные прям такие. И там были из-за много... То, что падаешь, такие клочки снега. И я их ела, потом у меня было отравление.
Подожди, со скольки лет?
Ну, где-то 4-5.
4, да? 4-5. Не оставляйте наедине девочек.
Да, потом...
Они будут есть котов.
At one point, she became really superstitious. She was scared to wake up on the wrong foot, and then that would cause her to do a bad performance. She was really superstitious at that one point, but that superstition fell away after the Olympics. She had this breakthrough, this world championships that was kind of devastating, another one, and that world championship, she was like, you know what, I'm so tired. She just didn't think about it, didn't think of any superstition at all. Suspicion that maybe it was the roommate that did that salt thing. So she tried to put holy water on it, tried to clean it up. She first fell off her jump on the short program, immediately thought that it was the salt shoes, but then when it was a free program, she did no mistakes, and then she won that junior competition. In the future, she sees herself doing TV and doing media roles, going into presenting and that sort of era after figure skating, but she also has a slightly problem with speech in terms of that she gets really worried and is such a perfectionist that she'll say the wrong thing, that she'll stutter, and that really feared her. So she had tutors for practicing how to talk, how to communicate properly in front of the camera. She's also quite a reserved person and introverted, and she hasn't had prior experience with talking before when she was on the ice age and presenting. And so she was trying to work her mouth and trying to do loads of exercises, doing lots of tongue twisters, etc. Because she's so used to expressing herself in her body and in her skating and doing the lines and in her facial expressions, but never really using speech in a form of expression. And so she found that very hard, especially when she was interviewing stars, and she felt so nervous that things, when she was speaking, she was saying the wrong things in her mouth, and she just kept worrying constantly, especially she had a speaker as well, telling her what to say. And for the second year, when she was doing the ice age, she took off that speaker and said her own words, and she felt so much better because she had to only focus on what she really wanted.
Есть ли после спорта будущее у спортсмена? Понятно, что есть,
да.
Естественно, что есть.
Да,
но как?
Да.
Вот помимо шоу, помимо, все-таки ты так или иначе, да, в фигурном катании, вот сама ты кем себя видишь в будущем?
Я на самом деле себя вижу где-то около спорта, естественно. Может быть, на телевидении, потому что у меня уже был такой опыт в ледниковом периоде, первый раз. Вот.
Давай поподробнее об этом. Переживала ли ты? Скажи, пожалуйста.
Очень безумно переживала.
Здесь можешь говорить всю правду.
Да, я поняла, но абсолютно другое, нежели фигурное катание. Естественно, мы там выражаем себя не словами, а жестами, эмоциями. И там было супер тяжело, то, что мне надо было говорить, и говорить это там с той же Ольгой Бузовой.
Да.
Я просто первый раз смотрела и думала, блин, она, наверное...
Тебя съест.
Наверное, да. Меня
Но Оля
съест.
добрый человек.
Но я вот ее не знала лично, поэтому
Да.
мне было очень волнительно с ней встретиться. Также там были и другие звезды, и знала, что они подмазаны, знаете, на слово, могут как-то всковырнуть, что-то там сказать.
Едкие,
а я,
да, думала?
Ну, думала, что да. И мне было тогда
Типа Губерниева,
17
да?
лет. Я чуть-чуть подготовилась, мне дали репетитора, я с ним начала описывать дырку в стене, значит, говорить всякие разные скороговорки, разрабатывать рот, вот, и...
А это эти все, да?
Да,
Ага.
и как бы рот у меня очень сильно устал, и думала, что там нету мышц, но откуда-то они есть, появились у меня, вот, и чуть-чуть подготовилась и пошла на передачу.
Так.
Это было сложно, там же еще с ухом надо говорить. Это тоже для меня что-то новое, и повторять за человеком, который в ухе сидит. Я там 150 раз потыкалась, переговаривала.
At one point, she had a stalker, which she had lots of different fans, but there was one particular stalker that followed her all the time to her house, and she would wake up from her flat, go downstairs, 5-minute walk, and then she would go to trainings. And that stalker would be on his car, driving around, and she was actually really scared. So she always was unarmed at first, was going with her grandma, and the stalker would roll up his window and tell the grandma that, oh, I really love Alina, I really want her to be with me, etc. And later on, she was talking with the coaches to see if she can have security and a bodyguard. She got a bodyguard at that point and was just walking with him the whole entire time because she had to feel safe. She was 15 years old at the time. They found out that the stalker in the car that was driving was divorced, had not paid any elements towards his children, and was on some sort of drug. And she didn't understand how he was even driving that car, but he was sent away afterwards, and then Alina felt fine.
Навязчивые поклонники, вот знаешь, которым вот, ну, не знаю, там, наяривали, написывали, и уже так пугающая эта любовь была.
Да, у меня была такая ситуация. Ко мне вообще приехал какой-то мужчина с Казани на большой машине тонированной и встречал меня около дома все время. Мне было лет 16.
Он знал, где ты живешь.
Да, я вообще в шоке была. То есть он ехал за мной. Я на тот момент была без машины, пешком ездила.
Без охраны.
Пешком ездила,
Да.
пешком ходила до тренировки. Да, мне тут минут 5 всего лишь идти. И он вот так вот ходил за мной.
Так.
И в какой-то момент бабушка пошла со мной. И он вот так вот, как мы идем, также медленно ехал и такой: слушайте, там, типа, надо переговорить с вашей внучкой, мне она очень нравится.
Тебе 16?
А мне 16.
Вау.
А оказалось, что он, значит, разведен,
Так.
не платит алименты
Ой.
и наркоман еще к тому же.
Ужас какой.
Я не знаю, как он вел машину.
In terms of having athlete friends, she's really close with Margarita Mamon, especially when Margarita Mamon had to work in the Beijing as an Olympic champion. She had to show everybody around the Olympics, etc. They really got together and they were really close. She's also friends with Anna Sherbakova, and they are really mutual friends. They know each other. They just kind of have the same kind of pathway that really links them together. In terms of having any friends from show business, or she isn't really a going out person. She's quite introverted, home-like. She would rather cook a meal at home and rest, read a book, rather than going out. So in terms of having a big circle of friends, she doesn't really have that. Her perfect or ideal day off is really just sleeping a lot. She is quite a night owl, where she would go to bed at like 1 or 2 a.m. and wake up at around 1 p.m. And so she really likes to sleep. Then she would go have breakfast in like perfect peace, cook something and then watch TV or a series. And at first she would have some chocolate as a snack, but recently she really isn't a sweet person and said thank goodness, because that put her a lot of weight. But she really likes some protein, meat especially. Her perfect weight in the Olympics was 42 kilograms and she weighed that at 15 years old. And after the Olympics, she had the disastrous World Championships where she kind of fell from being number 1 to 5th place. And then she would go on holiday. And the coaches told her to not gain any weight or to track her weight down, so that she had to send them photos of her weight. And so when she was on holiday, she wasn't allowed to eat a lot. She had to restrict herself. And she only gained 1 kilogram after the Olympics, because they told her to look at her weight and to really be in shape. And Laysan jokingly says, well, this girl is supposed to be on holiday and now they're trying to restrict her.
Можешь со мной не согласиться, но есть такой стереотип, все-таки у гимнасток сложнее обстоят дела с весом, вот, чем у фигуристок. Или я не права? Вас также взвешивают по 8 раз в день, как нас?
Нет, на самом деле
полегче,
нас
да?
взвешивают, да, 1 раз в день, но это после обеда.
Ой, это несправедливо.
Ну, то есть мы как бы не обедаем, естественно. У нас было такое, что мы взвесимся, потом что-то перекусим и идем с полным животом кататься. Такое тоже было. На Олимпиаде вообще нас взвешивали утром, днем и вечером.
Твой идеальный вес какой? Вот выступательный.
Выступательный. Я вот на Олимпиаде весила 42 500.
42 500. А рост?
1,56 м был на тот момент. Но,
Сейчас сколько?
ну, чуть больше, естественно.
Подожди, давай, вставай.
Я думаю, что вы худее меня смотрите.
Подожди, я сейчас не про вес, про рост. Ну чуть-чуть, я 1,70 м. Ты?
1,60 м.
1,60 м.
Да. Но у меня еще платформа.
Ну, на коньках вы такие высокие.
Высокие, да. И на самом деле вот
42.
говорят.
Офигеть, 42.
Я думаю, что гимнастки,
падаешь.
наоборот, даже худее. Нет, у вас же какие-то стандарты.
I really hope you guys enjoyed this interview breakdown. If you did, please give it a like, subscribe, comment down below, and I will see you in my next video. Mwah.